Information fueled.
Opinion driven.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
6:06 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and welcome on in for a Wednesday. Hope you're doing well. I've got a lot to get to. Let's get right to it. Karmello Anthony, the 17-year-old who killed Austin Metcalf in cold blood. Remember, he and his lawyers in the family have been saying that they don't have any money. Well, now it is confirmed they do have a lot of money. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and now it's really making news this morning as well. Do you know how much his home, Karmello Anthony, you know this, right? So Karmello Anthony, he's black. He stabbed a white kid, Austin Metcalf, in the heart. This was at a track meet in Frisco, Texas. Well, he's now out. The judge lowered his bond from I think it was $1 million down to $250,000, whatever it was. And he is now at home under house arrest. So now we find out, because they had this Give, Send, Go account made. And so you had all these people that gave $450,000, $500,000 to Karmello Anthony, a guy who literally stabbed a kid in cold blood. So now the home that they're renting, they had to move, they say. They had to move because he had racist threats against him. So now they need security, and they had to move. He is holed up, Karmello Anthony, in a $900,000 rental home in Frisco, Texas. Now, I'm here to tell you, I used to live in Frisco, Texas. As a matter of fact, I lived in Dallas many, many years ago. And this home is big, even by Frisco standards. It's huge. They've got new cars in the driveway, despite the fact that his family claimed to have no money. Now, remember, again, that moronic judge lowered his bail so that he could have this nice, cushy house arrest, and he also has to wear an ankle monitor. And so the Daily Mail and others now, they are reporting on this house and the cars in the driveway, including a white Suburban, a black Acura, and a third car parked in the driveway that had a paper license plate. Again, apparently new. So obviously, they took this money and they decided to move into a highfalutin home, apparently perhaps got a new car as well, or at least that is clearly what it looks like. I mean, the father said, we have to move. And so did they move to, I don't know, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,500 square foot house, I don't know, in Plano? Or Flower Mound? These are all communities in Texas. Did they maybe move out of the area, maybe down to Dallas? No. They moved to a $900,000 rental. I mean, good Lord, man. So the thing that I love about the socials is that now you do have people that are black that are speaking out on the absolute absurdity of this whole situation. Now, CJ Pearson is black, and he's been on Fox News. He's been on Newsmax, and this is a dude, CJ Pearson, that absolutely speaks the truth.
Now, guys, I'm going to be real with y'all. White people deserve some credit today. Because why in the hell is Karmello Anthony, that 17-year-old murderer, walking around the streets of Texas a free man? How is that even possible? This is an animal who killed a 17-year-old boy over a damn book bag, and right now in the state of Texas, he is a free man.
Unbelievable. CJ, by the way, CJ Pearson, he is co-chair of the Republican Party Youth Advisory Council. So again, the Daily Mail has gone around and they've started speaking to people in this neighborhood. By the way, you know what the neighborhood is called? Richland. Of course it is. Where Karmello lives, and he's just, hanging around, having a good old time, ordering pizza. And one of the other things that they noticed, is that there's all kinds of Amazon packages that are arriving at the home. But so the neighbors are equally as disgusted as many people are that right now he is a free man.
Not only is he a free man, he is a man who is a lot more wealthier today than he was when he went into the jail cell, because the social justice warriors and BLM domestic terrorists have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars in his name, because apparently murder is excusable just because he looks like us. Yeah, that's a damn shame. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and listen, the man speaks the truth. So he had this account from Give, Send, Go. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is this the home that he was living in when the murder happened, or did he move to this home? I can't quite figure that part out yet, and I haven't seen any specifics. But either way, they were not honest with the amount of money they had, or they've taken this money and they've moved into this really big house. Either way, it's damning. So he had this account, and we've all talked about this, Give, Send, Go, and they raised somewhere around $430,000 to $450,000, probably more at this point, by the way. And the accusation is that they used this money to either rent the home, maybe buy a new car, or they weren't honest with the judge when they said how much money they had, therefore convincing the judge to lower the amount of bail.
Now imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine if Karmello Anthony was a white man, or actually imagine if he was a white man who was a police officer, and all of a sudden his bail was reduced heavily and he was just allowed to walk out of jail scot-free. Mm-hmm. Oh, America would be burning to the ground right now. And that's not me speculating. I know this to be true because it happened just a few years ago. When the BLM thugs didn't get their way, they set America on fire. That is exactly what happened. But you won't see that happen in this case.
Nope. C.J. Pearson. Now, there's a lot of people that are out there saying that the folks at Give, Send, Go should delete the fund to help Karmello Anthony because it is for the defense fund of a violent crime. Well, this is what they say. Heather Wilson, one of the platform's co-founders, took to social media Wednesday to defend the decision to keep the fundraiser active. She says many people believe the Give, Send, Go campaign should also be removed. But she says on social media, they defend the decision to keep the fundraiser active. She says, I wanted to share my perspective on the ongoing discussion about whether we should allow fundraising for individuals who've been charged with a crime. We're now seeing similar outrage from the right as we once did from the left when we allowed campaigns for Kyle Rittenhouse and Daniel Penny. In both of those cases, we upheld the principle that someone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Shouldn't that same standard apply here as well? Wilson added that the founders of Give, Send, Go decided from the start that the platform would not serve as judge and jury. Now, obviously, the big difference between Daniel Penny, he was protecting people on that subway train on that fateful day in New York, and Karmello Anthony, who, in my opinion, killed someone in cold blood. And by the way, a couple of other things about this. Have you actually thought about this crime? Because I was really thinking about what happened on that day in Frisco, Texas. And something doesn't make sense. Something doesn't jive when it comes to their self-defense defense. Something just doesn't add up. And I'm going to talk about that coming up. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. A high of 70 and sunny degrees. Right now, 41 at Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. So Karmello Anthony with a K, he says that this was self-defense, right? But have you thought about this? So if Metcalf, so think about the scene. Karmello Anthony is sitting underneath this tent that is meant for the rival school. And clearly he's doing this on purpose, right? He's doing this because he wants to be confrontational. So that's number one. The tent clearly shows Metcalf School on it. Karmello Anthony. I don't know if he was wearing the colors of his school or not, but he's sitting there and he's doing it to be confrontational. That's number one. Metcalf comes up and tells him to move. Anthony doesn't. Some sort of, I don't know exactly what happens, some sort of an altercation takes place. But then Metcalf is stabbed in the heart. But realize that Karmello Anthony had the knife in his bag. So if this was self-defense, how is it that Anthony was able to go into his bag, which no doubt was sitting next to him, and he unzips his bag and probably fumbles to find the knife, and then he turns back around and stabs Metcalf in the chest? Well, if Karmello Anthony had the opportunity to turn around, unzip his bag, fumble and find the knife, I don't know if he had a sheath on the knife or whatever, and then turn back around and stab Metcalf, that doesn't sound like self-defense to me. Does that sound like self-defense to you? No, it doesn't. Because it doesn't seem like this altercation, Anthony, I don't believe that he was under any kind of actual attack. It was a confrontation. I love this headline from Newsweek. You ready? Karmello Anthony, Texas bond sparks MAGA anger. In other words, they're trying to say, and you heard the one of the CEOs of Give, Send, Go was also saying, well, we're hearing from the right. You know what? I'm proud to be angry at the fact that Karmello Anthony is out on a far lower bond. Yeah, I'm proud. If that's MAGA anger, then our anger is just. And if Democrats or liberals or progressives aren't pissed off about what happened, then they need to think about what makes them angry. They need to think about their vision of what is right and what is wrong. But of course, this is the party, and this is the state of mind of a party that thinks that assassinations are okay. That it's okay. They could justify the assassination of Donald Trump or Elon Musk. We've talked about all of this. They're also trying to compare this case, Karmello Anthony, they're trying to compare this case to Kyle Rittenhouse, who was also 17 at the time. Now, Rittenhouse, everybody knows, right? You remember the story. He is being chased at 17. He is being chased by a bunch of adults. They're trying to take his gun away. The people that were chasing Kyle Rittenhouse, obviously, they knew that he had a gun. And they still engaged with him, and they were trying to take his gun away as they were chasing him. And if I remember right, because I've seen the video 1,000 times, one of them was actually throwing something on fire at Kyle Rittenhouse. It was, I don't know if it was a Molotov cocktail or it was a piece of cardboard on fire, whatever. And one of the guys got shot and shot dead because Kyle Rittenhouse was cornered and they were trying to take his gun away. So he was literally fighting for his life. A couple of other differences. In the Kyle Rittenhouse case, it was a chaotic environment. It was clearly self-defense, and the video proved it. His $2 million bond was not reduced, and he spent 86 days in pretrial detention. Now, let's look at Karmello Anthony. He brought a knife to a track meet. It was a calm environment. He provoked the situation because he was sitting down under the tent of the rival school. And you'll notice that Metcalf, the white kid, he didn't bring a weapon to the school. He didn't stab Karmello Anthony. Karmello Anthony got insulted, so he decided to kill someone. His bond was reduced to somewhere around $200,000, $250,000. He only spent 12 days in pretrial jail. And apparently the family moves into a big old new house. So, yeah, Karmello Anthony, he decided to pull out a knife out of nowhere and stab Metcalf in the heart. And, yeah, MAGA anger out there is justified on this case. So if you see some of your liberal friends out there on social media trying to say, oh, these two cases, they're just like each other. Kyle Rittenhouse and Karmello Anthony, they're just the same. If you were screaming about Kyle Rittenhouse, then you should have nothing to say about Karmello Anthony. Oh, these two cases are obviously different. And if you're angry, if you're MAGA and you're angry about Karmello Anthony, then you should be proud of that anger because it is just. 621. Joan Jones has the news at 6:30. Joan, what's coming up?
Yeah, more on the rescue of that East Tennessee pastor who was rescued from his kidnappers in South Africa. That's coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.